Episode 130, Nick Travaglini. Good morrow, and welcome back to The Realm. I am epic fantasy author J.V. Hilliard, your friendly neighborhood scribe, and I know many of our viewers out there are also aspiring authors. Well, today we'll find out what it's like to transform your desire to pen your first manuscript and get that to the finish line with our guest today. Tune in and see what it takes to cross the Rubicon and get to publication with Nick Travaglini. Nick, welcome to The Realm.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell our listeners about yourself, and more importantly, how does it feel to get that first novel to the finish line?
Well, a little bit about me. I'm Nick, living in Rochester, New York. Currently a teacher, teach social studies. I love video games. I love hanging out with my friends. Love watching football. And obviously, I've got a big thing about writing books. And I've been super excited about this for a long time. Seeing the finish line in sight is just awesome.
Well, many of our viewers and a lot of our followers are aspiring authors, and this is the first time on The Realm we've had someone that's right at that finish line. I know that many of our viewers are going to want to know what it feels like to be you. I know you said this is something you've always wanted to do, but now that you've done it and you're there and you're ready to launch your first novel, tell them what that journey in that process was like for Nick Travaglini.
Well, for starters, I first got the idea of doing this because I had it's like an inside joke with one of my best friends. You know, we would watch TV shows, big into video games, and I would look at him and be like, we should be writing this. Like, this is horrible. Like, what is going on here? And then eventually I was just like, you know what? I should be making my own thing. Like, you know, shut up or put up. But actually, a few years back, I had to go through chemotherapy, believe it or not. And during that process, I actually started taking notes. I can actually show you kind of what it looks like. And I have a bunch of files like this. Now, this just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. I could literally sit here this whole time through this interview and keep scrolling through it, and it would never end. So after I finished everything, you know, I was like, screw it, I'm going to start writing one. And then I saw one note in there, like family with godly power fights each other. And that started to snowball effect.
Well, let's transition into that. I mean, if there was a silver lining in your chemo, maybe it was this. It's set you up for the next 50 years of writing. But
yeah,
your novel, you know, Men Amongst Gods, what inspired that? We all have notes as authors. Yours are like, it's like a fountain of creativity that's come out of you. You know, you grab that one line and, you know, all of a sudden, bam, you're off to the races.
Yeah, it was kind of a multitude of things. So we started with the note, and then I started expanding, just toying, seeing if I could put something together. But basically, there's a family in the book. They're believed to come from gods. And, you know, they're bigger, stronger. They don't necessarily have superpowers.
So like Hercules or Perseus, but not Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
And then the notes just started kind of piggybacking off each other. And then I eventually just went down a rabbit hole and made this one book. And I was like, I can't write this in one book. So then it became a trilogy. And then I was like, the trilogy doesn't explain everything. So then I made prequels. So I have about at least 5 to 6 books of content.
Well, your journey, my friend, is very similar to mine and many other epic fantasy authors. And I think that's what epic fantasy authors and fans love. They really get to get immersed in something that's a real world, and you world built it. But, you know, does that make your book different than other typical fantasy novels? The fact that you're pre-launch, you have all this stuff done. You know, it's almost like you've got series 1, series 2, prequels, like all this stuff. Is it the fact that you're ready to go? Is that what makes you different?
I'd say the biggest difference between mine and a lot of fantasy is I tried hard to make sure you can wrap your head around everything. There's no magic in it. There are elves, but they don't live forever. They have the same lifespan as humans. So that is one thing that I would say is really different. Another thing that's different is it's dark and somewhat of a mystery. You know, I try to foreshadow so many things throughout the book, trying to get you guys to connect dots together. And once you get there, you're like, holy shit, that's what's happening right now. So that's kind of what I wanted the reader to experience. And from the reactions that I've gotten so far, I've achieved that, which was an incredible feeling that I was able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that might be the most difficult part of being an author is the editing process. But it sounds to me like you've done what good fantasy authors do, which is you bake in something that's familiar to the genre reader and
Yeah.
then give them something unique about it that makes it your own realm. And I think that's what you need. And it sounds to me like you've done a lot of that. Tell me this, now that you're there, you're right at the finish line, right? You're ready to rock and roll. What's the most exciting thing about becoming an author?
There's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. I'd say the biggest one is just community interactions. I can't wait to go to panels, festivals, gatherings of people that, are as nerdy as I am when it comes to these things. And I've never experienced anything like that. Just being involved with these things is what's exciting to me. And
Let me
obviously,
ask you this then. Do you plan on sharing this with your students?
honestly, they have no idea. So it's funny you bring it up. I was nervous that like administration or something would find it and like be upset that I was writing things because there's a few characters that are vulgar. So just a quick example, I have a character inspired from Dritz in the Dark Elf trilogy, but he's the exact opposite. Dritz is humble, he's kind, he's caring, he's level-headed. I made a character named Axel who's arrogant, obnoxious, impulsive, dangerous. My goal writing this was to do what Stan Lee did with Iron Man. I want to make a character you should hate, but you can't help but love. And every single response I got back from a beta reader, friend, whoever was reading this, everyone said my favorite character was Axel.
I have a story. It's almost the same. One of the characters in my novel, Incanus Drew Waith, is the assassin, and he's the anti-Dritz, right? And the problem is, I have people coming up to me at conventions and book signings, and they're like, please don't kill him. He's my favorite character. And it's just one of those strange things. You're like, yeah, but you're supposed to hate this guy, but they love to hate him. I think you nailed it with
Yeah.
that. So, well, hey, look, we're coming to the end of our time. Our time is short.
Okay.
And I do this with every guest that comes on the round. We have a lightning round. I have a handful of questions I'm going to fire at you, and you're supposed to give one word, one sentence answers. But if you push me down a rabbit hole and we have to talk about it longer, we'll stop and do that. But
Okay.
Are you ready to play lightning round?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings?
Game of Thrones.
Good one. Good one. All right. So you go to Hogwarts and you're going through the sorting hat process.
Yeah.
And they come over and they put the sorting hat on you, and the sorting hat says, which house is Nick Travaglini?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I want to say Gryffindor. I do, but
Take the high road, huh? Take the high road.
I could also say Slytherin. I could see both ways. I guess it just depends on the day.
I am Slytherin all the way.
Yeah.
I know I am. There's no way. I don't even try to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
So, all right, final question, lightning round. You find yourself cast into a magical library. To your surprise, as you open the doors, you only see one book. And as you go over to it, you open it up, and it could be any book, anywhere, from any time. What book is it?
That's tough. I would say either the Dark Elf trilogy or Gardens of the Moon.
See, I thought you were going to say Men Amongst Gods.
Oh, I shoulda. I shoulda. Oh,
it's all right.
It's all
well,
right.
Hey, man, thank you very much for being on the realm. Tell everybody how they can find you and when your book comes out, and how they can get a copy of it.
So, comes out October 17th. It's going to be on Amazon and also digital to draft. You can find a lot of information in my newsletter at menamonggods.com. And you can also find me on Instagram. Just look for ND Travaglini, wherever you'll be able to find me.
Well, thank you, my friend, for being on the realm. Good luck with the launch. I'm looking forward to getting a copy of my own, and I'm going to send it back to you to sign it. So be ready for it. It's coming.
Yeah. I'll happily do it. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for being on the realm, my friend. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed the interview with Nick Travaglini as much as I did. I remember what it was like to be an aspiring author and getting your first book to the finish line, and bang, here he is. He's excited to get out on the trail and start hitting, events and book signings. And guess what? So am I. We've got the GalaxyCon in Columbus, Ohio, the first weekend of December. I hope to see everybody there. Come and meet me in person. You'll get a copy of all 4 of my books. The 4th one will be out, Echoes of Ghostwood. at that time, and that'll be closing out the Warminster series. And to our followers out there, thanks again for lending us your ear. And until next time, I'm J.V. Hilliard, and may your gods go with you.